Oh, it's messy in Dallas. And not just your usual Cowboys preseason noise. This one's got fire, fists, almost, and a whole lotta unspoken truths bubbling up from beneath the surface. Because when Micah Parsons goes off on Dak Prescott, at training camp, no less, you know this isn't just about contracts. This is about control, culture, and a Cowboys team on the verge of implosion. Let's set the scene.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
It's August. Texas heat. Players sweating it out at Oxnard. The usual cameras are rolling. Reporters are pretending to focus on 40-yard drills when really, everyone's got one eye on Micah Parsons. The defensive phenom. The heartbeat of this team. The guy who doesn't just get sacks, he shifts games. But this time, Micah isn't locked in on a quarterback dummy. He's staring across the field, tight-jawed, visibly tense, and that stare is locked on one man, Dak Prescott. Now, you might ask what could possibly turn two of the Cowboys' biggest stars, leaders, faces of the franchise, against each other? The answer? Money, ego, and silence from the top. Micah Parsons has been simmering for months. While Jerry Jones played his usual cat-and-mouse contract game, lowballing in the media and dancing around extensions, Parsons has been quietly watching other guys around the league, less productive guys, get paid. Big time. Nick Bosa? TJ Watt? Even defensive linemen who Micah makes look average? All locking in long-term money. Meanwhile, Micah's still out here playing without a real commitment. And what's worse? He's doing it without an agent. That's right. He's trying to negotiate directly with the Cowboys, thinking he could build something man-to-man. Except Jerry Jones? He's playing Monopoly, not Madden. So while Micah trains, while he lifts, while he dominates in practice, he's also realizing this franchise doesn't move until it's forced to. And that's where Dak comes in. You see, Dak Prescott has become the human shield for the Cowboys' dysfunction. He's the guy they prop up as the leader. The locker room guy. The polished face of the franchise. The one who always says the right things, even when the ship is clearly taking on water. But in Micah's eyes, Dak isn't the voice of the team, he's the voice of ownership. So when the two finally clashed at training camp, it wasn't random. It was inevitable. According to multiple players, who stayed real quiet publicly, the argument started after a team huddle. Dak reportedly made a pointed comment about needing everyone locked in and not letting distractions become bigger than the mission. Micah didn't like that one bit. He clapped back, hard, accusing Dak of talking like a company man and pretending everything's good when it's not. What followed was a tense, heated exchange that nearly derailed the entire practice. Dak, feeling cornered, threw the first real shot, not physically but emotionally. He allegedly said, "Maybe if you didn't quit on us in the second half of last season, we'd all be paid by now." But that was it. Micah exploded. Players say he had to be pulled away by teammates. Not because he was swinging, but because the temperature in that moment? Scorching. He fired back with something so cold, it's still echoing in the locker room. "You're worried about my money when you've been overpaid for underperforming for 5 years." That's not just a diss. That's a line in the sand. From that moment forward, the locker room split. Quietly but noticeably. Some of the vets rallied behind Dak. After all, he's been their guy. But the younger guys? The hungry ones? They're looking at Micah and thinking, he's the one out there making game-changing plays every Sunday. Not apologizing for 3-pick playoff exits. And here's the problem for Dallas. This isn't just a personality clash. It's a philosophy clash. Because Micah isn't just mad about his money, he's mad about the way this franchise handles stars. From Dez Bryant to DeMarco Murray, from Zeke to Amari Cooper, this team has a history of mishandling talent, dragging their feet, and then wondering why their Super Bowl window slams shut every time they try to sneak through it. And Micah? He refuses to be next. He's not asking to be coddled. He's not demanding QB money yet. What he is demanding? Respect. Transparency. And, let's be real, some acknowledgement that without him, this defense doesn't function. The irony? He's 100% right. This defense isn't just good because of scheme or culture. It's good because Micah Parsons is a freak of nature. Period. Remove him, and you've got a different team. A vulnerable team. A team that can't carry Dak when he stumbles, which, let's be honest, happens a lot in January. And now, we've got smoke rising from every corner of the building. Jerry Jones went on local radio to downplay the fight, calling it just competitive energy. But insiders say he's shaken, not just because of the incident, but because of what's swirling in the background. Trade rumors. Yup. Actual whispers that the Cowboys are considering flipping Parsons, Micah freaking Parsons, to avoid a $43 million per year extension they should have already locked in last season. The rumored suitor? The Green Bay Packers. With Rashawn Gary and a haul of draft picks on the table. Let that sink in. Instead of paying the best defender they've drafted in a generation, the Cowboys are out here leaking trade smoke like they're selling used cars. And while Jerry's trying to hold the power line, Micah's camp is quietly letting it be known he's not bluffing. He'll sit games if he has to. He'll turn the media narrative inside out. He'll walk if this team thinks they can control him without committing to him. Because Micah's not just playing football anymore. He's playing chess. And poor Dak? He's stuck in the middle. A franchise QB who hasn't delivered when it counts, now being asked to smooth over a rift he didn't create, and frankly, isn't equipped to solve. He's not the villain, but he's not the answer either. And until this gets resolved, until someone owns up, steps up, and fixes this, the Cowboys are cooked. All the talent in the world. A defense built to dominate. An offense that flashes like lightning but vanishes in the storm. And now, two of their leaders at each other's throats. Welcome to Dallas. The drama never ends, but this time, it could burn everything down. Here's the part the cameras didn't catch, but the players will never forget. After that infamous blow-up between Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott, the rest of practice turned ice cold. Nobody said much. Helmets went on, routes got run, drills resumed. But the tension? You could feel it in the air, thick like Dallas humidity. And when practice wrapped and reporters swarmed, the Cowboys went into full lock-it-down mode. PR was scrambling. Players were told to focus on football. Coaches were giving the same tight-lipped, copy-paste quotes they always use when things are burning behind the scenes. But the truth? This wasn't just a bad day at camp. It was the start of a civil war. Because this wasn't about one argument. It was about the kind of team the Cowboys want to be, and whether they're too late to change course. Let's back up. Micah Parsons wasn't just lashing out of nowhere. This storm had been building. Quietly. Uncomfortably. Boiling under the surface. It started last season, when the defense, led by Parsons, was dragging a sputtering offense into contention every week. Game after game, Micah showed up. Pressured the QB. Blew up runs. Willed wins. And every week, that offense under Dak? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Pick sixes. Missed throws. Red zone stalls. And the thing is, Micah never said anything. Not publicly. Not in the press. But you could see it in his body language. You could hear it in those quiet moments during post-game interviews when he'd say things like, "We just need all phases to do their part." You could hear the frustration, the exhaustion, the message between the lines. So when the season ended in yet another disappointing playoff flameout, when Dak Prescott threw his season away on national television, it wasn't just fans who were fed up. It was Micah too. Because how many more seasons are they supposed to waste? This team isn't rebuilding. They're supposed to be ready. Ready to win now. Not in 2 years. Not after figuring things out. And yet, here they are, once again, refusing to pay their defensive superstar while blindly committing to a quarterback who hasn't proved he can take them past the second round. And Micah's had enough. So when Dak made that little focus on the mission speech, that wasn't leadership. That was a slap in the face. That was code for, stop making noise, fall in line, and let the system work. Except, the system isn't working. Micah sees it. The younger players see it. Even some veterans are starting to grumble about how things are being handled. And Jerry? Jerry's doing what Jerry always does, smiling through the chaos, thinking he can spin this like every other time. But this isn't 2014. This isn't about Dez yelling on the sideline. This is different. This is core identity stuff. Micah Parsons is the soul of this defense. And when the soul of your team is openly questioning the leadership, you're on borrowed time. Let's talk about the money. Because this contract drama is the catalyst. The Cowboys had a window to lock in Micah early. Before the market exploded. Before the Defensive Player of the Year buzz got louder. Before Parsons took over as the most feared non-QB in the league. And they blew it. But he's watching Bosa, Watt, and Garrett get the bag, and the message he's getting from Dallas is, wait your turn. For what? Why does Micah have to wait while Dak, who hasn't earned a new deal in 3 years, is about to negotiate another extension? It doesn't make sense. Not to Micah. Not to fans. Not to the league. And now, it's becoming very clear. Micah doesn't just want the money. He wants the respect that comes with it. He wants to be the guy. Not a side character. Not a complimentary piece to Dak's team. Because let's be honest, it hasn't been Dak's team for a while. Not really. Not when your defense is outscoring your offense. Not when your QB shrinks in the biggest games. Not when your locker room stops believing that he is the path to a Super Bowl. Micah knows that. And he's saying what others won't. Now, here's where things get nuclear. That Packers rumor? It's realer than anyone wants to admit. The idea that Dallas could move on from Micah to avoid paying him elite quarterback money on defense, it's insane. But it's Dallas. And Jerry Jones has made a career of doing the boldest, dumbest things imaginable. Sometimes they work. Most of the time, they just create headlines and heartbreak. But trade your defensive star in his prime? That would be a legacy killer. And yet, whispers say it's being discussed. The package being floated? Rashawn Gary, a second and third rounder, and future cap space flexibility. Not good enough. Not even close. But it's out there. Which means the relationship between Micah and the front office has reached DEFCON 2. Now imagine being in that locker room. You've got players watching this go down in real time. Watching the team hesitate on paying the one guy who leaves everything on the field every week. Watching a divide grow between the offense and defense. Watching Jerry smile like it's all fine while the foundation is cracking beneath him. What does that do to morale? What does that do to unity? You've got wide receivers who don't know which QB to trust. You've got young defenders rallying around Micah, daring the team to sit him. You've got positional coaches stuck in the middle, pretending everything's cool while praying this doesn't derail the season. And Dak? He's walking around like he's got to prove he's still the guy, while half the building is already looking toward the next guy. This is what dysfunction looks like. Not one big explosion. Not a single scandal. It's the slow unraveling. The silent split. The conversations players have in the weight room when no one's around. The "what do you think happens if they trade Micah?" kind of talks. The "do you think this is still Dak's team?" questions. It's all happening now. And the saddest part? This team could win it all. They have the roster, the talent, the stars. But they don't have the clarity. They don't have the alignment. They don't have the unified vision that championship teams require. Because right now, they've got two captains steering in opposite directions. Micah wants the team to get serious. To invest in the defense. To build something that lasts. Dak wants peace. He wants to maintain control, keep the spotlight steady, avoid waves. But this situation? It's not about waves anymore. It's a storm. And unless Jerry Jones and the Cowboys leadership act fast, real fast, they're about to lose the one player who can anchor this team for the next decade. And the fallout? It'll be biblical. Not just a lost season. A lost era. Because if Micah walks, or worse, gets traded, it won't just be about money. It'll be about everything the Cowboys could have been, and chose not to be. The Cowboys always say they're America's team. But lately, they've been more like reality TV's favorite meltdown. The kind of show where the stars look shiny in the promos, but when the cameras roll, you realize the house is full of tension, secrets, and side eyes. And now, Micah Parsons is the main character. Not because he asked for it, but because he earned it. With sweat, with sacks, with a motor that doesn't stop until someone's on the turf. But somehow, instead of locking him in and building around him, the Cowboys are questioning him, downplaying him, making him fight for respect he already deserves. And it's starting to break the team from the inside. Because let's be honest, everyone in that building knows what's happening. They just won't say it out loud. The defense? It's Micah's. The energy? Micah brings it. The urgency? It comes from watching him sprint sideline to sideline while the offense sputters in neutral. So when the front office hesitates on paying him what he's worth, the message it sends is brutal: we'd rather protect our outdated blueprint than reward the guy keeping us alive. And when you're Micah Parsons, and you know you're him, you don't take that lightly. This isn't just contract stuff anymore. It's personal. He sees other franchises treat their defensive stars like royalty. He watches guys like Myles Garrett get love, respect, and trust. TJ Watt in Pittsburgh? Treated like a cornerstone from day one. Nick Bosa in San Fran? Backed up with a blank check. But in Dallas? They're making Micah wait, like he's still in tryouts. And that disrespect? It festers. So when Dak Prescott, who let's not forget, is under his own pressure cooker, tries to deliver a leadership moment at practice, it lands wrong. It lands like a lecture. It lands like someone trying to protect the status quo. And Micah, who's not here to play political games, he calls it out. And what happens when you challenge the king? The kingdom shakes. Now you've got a locker room where half the guys are whispering behind closed doors. Defense versus offense. Veterans versus rising stars. Everyone knows something big is brewing, and no one wants to be the first to say it. But you can bet they're all thinking it. If Jerry screws this up, it's over. And oh, he's this close. Because Jerry Jones still thinks he can PR his way through a crisis. Throw out a few soundbites. Smile on camera. Play the "we love our guys" card. But fans aren't buying it. Neither are players. They remember the last time Jerry fumbled a contract negotiation. They remember DeMarcus were walking out the door. They remember the Zeke mess. The Amari trade. The time Dez Bryant got the cold shoulder until it was too late. It's feeling familiar. But this time, it's worse. Because Micah isn't just another talent. He's a once-in-a-generation disruptor. A guy who changes offensive game plans before he even steps on the field. A guy who moves like a linebacker but hits like a D-end. A guy who's got it. And right now, he's on the verge of walking. Not physically. Not yet. But emotionally, he's already halfway gone. You can see it in the way he answers questions. Measured. Calculated. No more hyped-up energy. No more, "we're all in this together" tone. Now it's, "I do my job. The rest is up to them." Translation? Don't drag me down with your mess. And that mess? It's deep. Because while Micah's camp keeps trying to open the negotiation door, Jerry keeps pretending the hallway doesn't exist. No serious talks. No agent involvement. Just vague timelines and empty promises. It's old-school arrogance trying to survive in a new-school league. And Micah? He's a new-school player all the way. He understands his value, not just on the field, but off it. He's marketable. He's media-savvy. He knows how to play the game behind the game. Which is why trade talk doesn't scare him. He knows his phone would ring off the hook if Dallas moved on. Teams would line up with offers in minutes. Philly? They'd take him in a heartbeat. Pair him with Jalen Carter and Hasten Reddick? Say less. Baltimore? That defense would become illegal with Micah in the mix. Even the Bears, with all that cap space and draft capital, they'd build a whole defense around him and name a street after him by the end of the year. So no, Micah isn't trapped. But the Cowboys? They're cornered. Because if they trade him, they'll set their franchise back 5 to 7 years overnight. And if they let this drama drag out, it'll tear the team apart from the inside. And Dak? He's in no position to hold this together. He can barely hold on to his own starting spot. The fans are already restless. The media is circling. And if this season starts rocky, if Dallas stumbles out the gate while Micah is clearly playing with one foot out the door, it's going to be ugly. Training camp was the warning shot. The real storm is still coming. And here's the wild part. It's all avoidable. The Cowboys could end this tomorrow. They could sit down, write the check, and show Micah Parsons he's not just a piece, he's the priority. They could reset the culture, reclaim the locker room, start fresh with a leader who's proven week after week that he's the heart of the team. But will they? History says no. History says they'll hesitate, delay, try to save face. And by the time they realize what they've lost, Micah will already be making headlines somewhere else. And the Cowboys? They'll be right back where they've always been, wondering how it all slipped away. Because greatness doesn't wait forever. And Micah Parsons? He's not waiting anymore. So picture this. Inside the glass-walled offices of the Star in Frisco, Jerry Jones is pacing, surrounded by advisors who are all nodding, hesitating to say what everyone's really thinking. Because what can you say when your defensive superstar just humiliated your $160 million quarterback at training camp, and now fans are chanting, "Pay Micah," at preseason games? It's the kind of crisis that feels familiar in Dallas, but this time, this one stings different. Because it's not Dez yelling on the sidelines. It's not Zeke's contract dragging into camp. It's not even Tony Romo losing another playoff game. No, this is bigger. This is foundational. This is about who the Cowboys are now and who they're scared to become. Now imagine him in another uniform, coming back to AT&T Stadium and lighting up Dak like a Christmas tree while Jerry watches from the box with that same frozen smile. That's the future if they don't get it right. And don't get it twisted, other teams are already circling. Quiet phone calls. Plus, just in case. Because everybody knows, Micah Parsons isn't the kind of player you let walk. Unless, of course, you're the Cowboys. And that's the tragedy here. This franchise has seen greatness before. They've had it in their hands, where Dez, Romo, Zeke, and somehow, they always fumble it. Not because they don't have the talent, but because they refuse to evolve. They keep trying to run a 1995 model in a 2025 league. And now, it might cost them the one player who could finally flip the script. So as training camp rolls on and the regular season creeps closer, everyone's watching. Analysts, agents, players. Not just to see who wins on Sundays, but to see whether this organization finally wakes up. Will they do the right thing? Will they own up to the mess? Will they build around the lion, or keep pretending the emperor still has clothes? Because Micah Parsons has spoken. And if the Cowboys won't listen, you can bet 31 other teams will.